Welcome to the Simple Farmhouse. I'm Laura and I'm so glad you're here. While making my coffee this morning, I was thinking fondly of a trip that I took with my daughter a couple of years ago. We traveled through Italy and it really changed the way I viewed food. And so I came back from that trip wanting to incorporate the way we had eaten into our daily lives. One of those things was even the coffee beans I use. I wanted to eat more fresh food and taste the flavors like we had tasted in Italy. But I eventually found that that was pretty hard to do with the resources that I had at our local grocery stores and markets. And I knew I was going to have to grow our own food at some point if we wanted to feel the way that we felt when we were in Italy. The food was so fresh and so delicious and grown with far less pesticides, but with so much more flavor than what I was able to find here. When my doctor told me I should eat like I was in Italy, I decided to take her up on that. It was time to finally do it. Life is also pretty busy, and growing a big garden in our backyard just isn't a possibility right now. Maybe someday. But I do have this newly refreshed patio, and I think I could use the extra spaces around the edges to grow lots of vegetables with a raised garden and some pots. The idea of growing tons of fruits and vegetables may sound expensive, so I am working on a budget by doing hydroponics and starting from seeds. It's a very inexpensive way to get hundreds of plants should you desire that many. These are the seed packets I started with, and the hydroponic unit came with everything you needed to get started, including these cone sponges, the pod that holds them, a small cap that covers it to protect it before the seed becomes a seedling. The machine has a light panel at the top, which you can control with a timer, and you can also control the brightness to really maximize how quickly the seeds will grow. The basin below holds the water in which you put the fertilizer. I soak the sponge for about an hour to get them nice and soft, and the seeds I soak for several hours to get the outside seed coat soft enough to begin opening. Should I ever run out of those sponges and those pods, I can always reorder. There are units on Amazon that can fit multiple brands of hydroponic units. After 2 weeks, I had seedlings. I couldn't believe how fast they grew and how strong the roots were. Within 3 weeks, I was ready to start thinking about putting them outside, and so I needed to start collecting some pots. This is my first tomato plant 1 week after transplanting. It was 6 inches and more than doubled in size in a week. So I was very excited when the cucumber started curling its tendrils and the parsley started looking thick and full, and the lettuce and spinach and basil were ready as well. Today's video is sponsored by Lowe. Lowe creates beautiful outdoor pieces that are designed to withstand the outdoors. I'm using the Stacy Elevated Planter Box, and I chose it because it had these compartments that were separated so that I could grow plants that maybe wouldn't normally be grown next to one another, but in this planter they can. It also fits perfectly in this space. There are drain holes in the bottom of each of these compartments, and you can use a liner, but I'm going to use rocks to help keep the soil from falling through those holes at the bottom. Another great idea for keeping the soil in a container is using coffee filters to cover over those holes at the bottom. I'm going to leave some extra room at the top so that I can amend the soil in the fall if I want to, and this is all the soil that these herbs are going to need. This planter box is long enough that the compartments to the right are full sun, and the 2 compartments all the way to the left will be part sun under a tree. Here's the parsley. Let me show you how I remove the hydroponic pod. I snip through the collar of the pod very carefully at the top, and then I go around and snip off the attachment to the bottom without damaging the roots. So the collar will come off first, very carefully. And then you'll see that the bottom just slips right out without tearing at any of the roots. So this parsley is ready for its new home. In the back corner, I'll be planting that curly tendrilled cucumber. And in a little bit, I will show you a very budget-friendly and easy DIY to help this cucumber have some stability. So for today, these are my hydroponic seedlings that were ready to plant. I've got a little bit of lettuce down here on the end, and I even threw in this iceberg lettuce that I'm hoping will regrow. It's got a little green sprout on it. We'll see what happens with that. But in my hydroponic machine inside, I have some more lettuce, more herbs, and they will get placed in those extra spots. I'm so happy with how this raised planter looks. I'm looking for other places where I could fit one. I love the extra storage for the shelf at the bottom and that I don't have to sacrifice on style in order to have a raised bed planter on my patio. Lowe has also offered a coupon code, which I will include in my description below. This is where I like to spend a little time in the mornings, and I'm excited to add a few extra things to my garden project today. Here's a sneak peek at the current state of my tomato plants. They are huge, and I'm going to need to stake them today. And I have a budget-friendly way to do that. Penny has agreed to supervise the project. These are some super budget-friendly stakes that I bought for gardening at Lowe's. I'll include a link to them below. Because I'm going to be growing so many plants out here, I am going to need an affordable way to make them look nice and stake them. I am going to build a very rustic and small trellis that I can add to my raised planter. I'll be making it 2 feet tall and 4 feet wide. These are my 2-foot vertical stakes. Now I'm going to cut the lengths. I think Penny approves. This truly is a simple enough project that you don't need any power tools. You could cut this with a handsaw. I will be just using a regular nail and hammer, not my pneumatic nailer. So anyone could do this project. The wood glue will help keep it sturdy. And my camera does not like me hammering, so I will only show the hammering of that one piece. But the same step after measuring for all 6 points of contact. To buy a pre-made trellis is anywhere between $20 and $30. This one I made for just a few dollars. And like the hydroponics, I'll be able to repeat it as many times as needed on a small budget. Just a light tap into place, and now I'm ready to stake the tomatoes. This is a very rustic and affordable way to make a cage for your tomatoes. I'm using the same wooden stakes, and I kept them nice and tall because I'm imagining this space being a room and the green growing up around the conversation area. What I'm going to do at the bottom here is also use that same string because it's soft and it won't damage the branches of the tomato. I'm making the cage arms out of this string. I will tie it, and then I'm going to make a notch in the wood posts in order to hook the string in. This will allow me to move the string if needed and to make the cage grow with and around the plant. I'll just use the edge of the scissors to cut a notch into all 3 posts. While I'm over here, I am going to trim some of these lower branches. I don't want the leaves touching the soil. It could cause some issues with the plant. While I was over here, I noticed that I'm getting my first fruits, which I'm very excited about. I can't wait to watch this garden grow and to have fresh food to eat that will not only be healthy, but will taste amazing. This is the beginning of a new journey for me, but the hydroponics have really made it possible for me to even attempt to do this, and I am loving it so far. Stay tuned to see more tips and tricks for my outdoor space. My next outdoor DIY project will be a very easy fountain that does not require any difficult steps or drilling. So if you'd love to see that, hit the subscribe button and follow along. Until next time.